Let me ask you a personal question. I mean, did you ever think that your job now would be harder than maybe your job as a SEAL? Because it looks really hard to do what you do. You know, I see all the posts you put out, and you're on social and you're talking about the cancel culture and the monuments and the COVID and the masks. And man, you seem to be working 24/7, almost fighting an enemy that's more difficult than what you were fighting overseas.
Yeah, I do think it's more difficult. I enjoyed my time in the military quite a bit. That was certainly a little bit more what I was born for. And I never would have left the military if I'd had a choice. So it's, what we view as hard in this life, I guess, is the relative term, right? Most people would think that life as a SEAL would definitely be harder, but it depends on what you're good at, right? It depends on your own skill sets and character. But this is definitely difficult. You are fighting a much more widespread enemy. And it does feel like we're playing whack-a-mole lately because of all of the things happening, and trying to drive a clear message to people who are getting selective information, and also just trying not to pay attention, perhaps because the news is so vitriolic, is difficult. But it's a fight that is worth having. We have to do it. And so I'm glad I've been blessed with the opportunity to actually do it, and hopefully make an impact, because it does feel like we're very far behind on this. Again, what is effectively a culture war. In America, that culture war is about whether America is good or evil. So free speech and things like that, those are certainly parts of the culture war, but they all start to manifest into this climax of whether or not your country is even worth having. That's really the debate being had right now. It's a really terrible, terrible debate. And it's a product of decades of postmodernist Marxist thinking that has infiltrated many institutions here. And the KGB was doing this a very long time ago. I mean, it's not all of them, obviously. Like Marxist ideology is it's tempting for a lot of people, I think. The politics of resentment is tempting for a lot of people. And so it's always been there in the human psyche. We unfortunately let it grow. We let it grow for too long. And now we have this cancel culture. We have this tearing down of statues. We have this tearing down of your history, arguing with the history that you can't change. Misinforming people about that history to an extraordinary degree. So the job is difficult because you're battling along many, many fronts, all the while trying to get some basic smart legislation done. But all that legislation, that's a product of the culture war. So you have to fight the culture war first.